focus never again on low-hanging fruit, but guess what? The more someone tries to gatekeep, the more someone hates. It just drives me.
Now got even worse for the most hated IRL streamer out in Korea, as his new charge has a mandatory prison sentence if he's convicted. And considering South Korea has a 99%.
So no chance of probation. Instead of actually going inside the prison, the court would simply accept a guilty plea from your lawyer and you'd go on probation or you'd go on house arrest. And here's the thing, it's only applicable, probation is only applicable up to a certain level of penalties. And a conviction rate of 99%, yeah. But then again, I still doubt that they would actually go through with this for the simple reason that handing back the garbage from whence it came is simply better for resources of the host country. It's simply better. Why? You're gonna have to feed him, you're gonna have to house him this entire time. So just throw back the garbage from where it came from. Definitely cheaper.
Conviction rate, things aren't looking too hot for him out there. It's safe to say the odds are not in his favor. So he's been a busy guy since the last criminal hearing in South Korea that we flew out to watch. Because it seems like he snapped that night before the trial, and instead of being apologetic and trying to lower his sentence, as you know, he got drunk, he insulted the judge, he insulted the prosecution, and then showed up over an hour late to his own court case drunk. Then of course, after that, he taunted the Korean public in a photo op, which he then shouted out North Korea. He proceeded to then stalk other streamers and get new police reports filed against him.
Of course.
Then started streaming himself, prank calling the Korean police for $5 donations. Then to end that day of streaming, he removed his clothes and went out and harassed construction workers before getting arrested. And this is all just in the span of like under 2 weeks. And then on top of that, he was also punched in the face again. So clearly, a lot of people are starting to get fed up with his antics. But unfortunately for him, the music will inevitably stop as he just keeps on getting hit with new charge after new charge because
see, all he's done is be a nuisance. Although it constitutes a felony, the prosecutorial services, the judiciary, simply might not think that he's worth keeping around, that he's not worth feeding or housing for the next couple of years. So, like I said, they might just throw the garbage back from where it came from.
He has zero idea how to live his life without being a burden to society. And to make things worse for him, as I mentioned earlier, he's got yet another charge. Because over the last couple of years, South Korea has been making laws cracking down on deepfakes, especially the 8.
Deepfake, against deepfake, so that could be something.
18+1s. And Johnny decided to distribute an 18+ deepfake for profit on his stream because he's a moron that will do anything for attention. So according to Article 14.2 in the Korean law, a person who edits, consolidates, or processes a form that can be used as sexual desire or shame, intent, which is the intention of the person's face, body, or voice in the purpose.
But this is a special law. This is not coded law. So I guess we'll see, since we are talking about a different jurisdiction here.
Purpose of an anti-sentiment, he is imprisoned for 7 years.
Different
or
jurisdiction,
up to 15 million won.
Different due process, or different concepts of due process.
Product and price tribute under paragraph, or at the time of editing or the copy of edit in paragraph 1, even if it was not contrary to the intention of the subject, such as this video, an editorial light or replica was reversed against the intention of subjects, such as the video and light. The person is sentenced to imprisonment up to 7 years or fine up to 15 million won. But this is the one that really gets him. A person who commits a sin under paragraph 2 using information and communication.
I doubt this law would have been written in English. It would have been translated to English, but here's the thing. A person who commits a sin under paragraph blah 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 blah, check this out. They use the word sin. So I don't know if that's a result of the localization or if it was simply written that way. Because that has to be a product of translation or localization, because Korea isn't organically an English-speaking country. Unlike other countries like the Philippines, where you could speak where they both speak English and Filipino or Tagalog, and then you've got Singapore and Malaysia, you've got variations of Chinese. Shall be sentenced to more than 3 years. So that's the wording there. Shall, it is definitely mandatory.
Network against the intention of the subject, etc. Shall be sentenced to more than.
But then again, like in any other democratic country with the judicial system, it's almost always up to the judiciary or up to the judge, who might not think that he's worth keeping around simply because it's up to their interpretation.
3 years of organic imprisonment. Unfortunately for him, he distributed this over his live stream and potentially through his Discord server as well. So if I understand this correctly, if he's convicted, he's looking at a minimum of 3 years in prison just for this charge. And that's without everything else. Then of course, you have the 99% conviction rate in South Korea, which we stated earlier. So it's safe to say that smile on his face might be wiped soon. Because unfortunately for him,
I mean, at a certain point, someone has to make an example of him.
his entire shtick is to
But that host country has to actually be willing to pay the price of feed and lodging.
harass and annoy people and be as disrespectful as possible, all for the group of 14-year-olds who thinks he's funny. So essentially, he's alienating any sense of goodwill and leniency that he could possibly get from a judge. I have never seen anyone in my life play themselves like this person has. It's actually unbelievable at this point. But Johnny, he has a plan to get out of this.
What we're gonna do is we talk to, because I have 2 lawyers. I have a public defender and I have a paid lawyer that's helping us with other cases. The public defender said it's a good idea and that me and Hank are gonna go to a psychiatrist pretty soon and
Okay, we've mentioned this before in the last video that the insanity plea deal or the insanity plea only works in the movies. You know why? Because judges would have you committed to a mental institution until you are fit for trial. And guess what? Statute of limitations or the prescription would be told. And you might spend years there until the government psychiatrist deems you fit to stand trial. So in other words, if you think you're gonna walk away scot-free after an insanity deal, no, you're gonna spend time in a mental institution. You're gonna spend time in grippy sock jail. You're not gonna be walking around thinking you beat the system. No, it doesn't work that way. That's why it's rarely used.
bring the paperwork. We go to a psychiatrist here in Korea and bring them the paperwork of that. And hopefully, he said it can help my case because...
No, not just any psychiatrist, but it has to be a government-related psychiatrist.
I am diagnosed as bipolar 2 in America, you know?
I don't think being bipolar
it doesn't work that way.
So according to South...
So, here's the thing. For one, for you to be able to take that insanity plea deal, if ever you have to prove non-lucidity, means you can't distinguish right from wrong. That's why that guy, the one who raped a student, I forgot his name. I'm sorry, that guy, he got off scot-free. All right, so the story is that one guy got off scot-free. That's why it became a sensation. That he was a college student, he was an athlete, and the judges acquitted him for the simple reason that the lawyer's defense was that his parents spoiled him up to a point that he cannot distinguish right from wrong. And basically, it was the equivalent of an insanity plea, which actually worked, which got him off scot-free. But for Johnny Sumali, with evidence that he actually knows what he's doing, that he knows right from wrong, he just doesn't give a crap, it's simply not going to work. So it's either a matter of lucidity and it's a matter of knowing right from wrong, or the person's ability to distinguish right from wrong. But if you can't prove that, if you don't have that, no, the insanity plea or the insanity deal is not going to stick. It's not going to work.
Korea's Criminal Act, specifically Article 10, this addresses cases involving individuals.
And again, even if it does work, you're going to spend time in grippy sock jail until the government psychiatrist determines that you are able to stand trial, or that you're fit to stand trial.
With mental disorders. It states that if a person, due to a mental disorder, is unable to make discriminations of their control of their will, they
discrimination, determine what is right and what is wrong. Disorder, punishment should be mitigated. Mitigated means simply lessened.
Not be punished. If their abilities were deficient due to the disorder, the punishment should be mitigated.
But that 99% conviction rate could only mean he's going to spend time in grippy sock jail.
This is really all up to the evidence and evaluation, because it's crucial to demonstrate a clear link between an individual's bipolar disorder and the commission of the crime. And then says the court will consider specific circumstances of the case, including the nature of the crime and the degree of which the individual's mental state was affected by their bipolar disorder at the time of the offense. Even if mental illness is considered a mitigating factor, public safety and the potential recidivism are also important factors that the court must consider when determining an appropriate sentence. So to summarize, it's essential to understand that having bipolar disorder...
So recidivism is equivalent to a repeat offender, and based on the evidence that they have, he's definitely a recidivist.
order is not an automatic get out of jail free card in this criminal cases in South Korea. The legal system applies universally, and while mental health can be a factor, it doesn't automatically exempt someone from legal consequences.
No
for their
automatic
actions.
exemption.
And again,
it has to be determined by the judge first. Just because you claim I'm crazy, just because you have a paper from a psychiatrist that it says here I'm crazy, no, it doesn't work that way. So yeah.
His largest problem is that he has live streamed himself for hundreds of hours. This behavior has been extremely consistent, and he's openly stated exactly why he does this.
Bro, why are you being racist to other people in other countries? Why are you bullying people in other countries?
There we go.
For money, like,
for clout. I've said it many times. I don't give a f. I have no morals. I'm a sociopath. I don't give a f at all. Like, period. Like, put this in your next YouTube documentary. I don't give a f. Like,
wait, that's an ominous thing right there. Put this in your YouTube documentary. I don't give a crap. Yeah, a documentary about his death if he keeps this up, honestly. It's gonna be a documentary about his death or getting resigned from life by one of his victims. That's
really hard to argue in court. But then, of course, people who are around him, they think that he'll be able to leave within a month.
It sounds like within a month, though, you could be out of here.
It is a possibility.
I'm leaning toward that because the prosecutorial services or the judiciary might simply think that he's not worth the effort. Just throw the garbage back from where it came from.
It is a possibility.
I mean, like, if everything goes well with the thing, then it should just kind of.
I mean, I know it sounds wrong, but
you've got your
guess what?
Still, so
This is right here.
Would you be willing to pay for this, to house this, and to feed this? No. Just throw the garbage from where it came from. Throw it back.
Yeah, you should be able to just kind of dip that.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
You're literally going to be wasting taxpayers' money to house and feed him.
Trolling him, right? There's no way he isn't trolling him with that comment. Because from everyone who I've spoken to who understands Korean law, they believe this is basically impossible. There's clearly a lot of pressure for a sentence here, and I don't even think they're finished hitting the guy with criminal charges. And then to make things even worse for him, streaming has become more challenging for him out there because, as I mentioned earlier, he was punched again recently. And then in the same stream, he also had to flee because the other guy who punched him first, I guess in Korea, found him.
Yeah.
Jail is coming.
oh, we gotta get the out of here. Go. Oh, Dagon. No fight. Peace. No fight. Talk. No fight. No fight. Peace. I say stop it still. You. Out. Please help me. Out. I love you. Chingu. Dagun chingu. Come. Come with me now.
He's actually screaming for help.
Taxi.
So he then ran away and came back to the guy making a documentary on him and told them, hey, we got to get a taxi and run.
You talked to Dagun? What did he say? Did he talk to you?
no, he wouldn't speak in clip.
He said Korea. I'm telling you, you're going viral. You're going viral. Let's go.
One sec. Let me.
No, we gotta go taxi now, Alice. That is dangerous. I'm telling you.
You're fine.
Then I guess to make things even worse for him, it now seems like Hank is asking for donations to continue to fund Johnny's life. Because here on Telegram, Hank apparently said, legal fees are very taxing for me. If anyone wants to help out with legal fees, please donate. Also, Johnny has a travel ban. Korea doesn't let him work and doesn't give any support. Johnny is out of money now, and I'm supporting him. There is no choice. He will starve if I don't. Dude, this is the most self-inflicted situation ever. It's safe to say things are just really not going their way.
But why? I mean, you're not being a good Samaritan by enabling this. Yeah.
Their entire response is essentially this. Like, it's all a front. Like, all of this is just this. I mean, they couldn't be coping harder for the terrible situation that Johnny put them in, all for just a little bit of internet attention and next to no money. And obviously, now he's getting prison time as well. Congratulations, moron. You completely played yourself.
Yep.
But his next trial date is set for April 7th, if I remember correctly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Although, from what I know, he's just showing up to enter another plea for the 4th charge that his lawyer asked for an extension on. But I mean, who knows? The guy might turn the trial into a circus show as well. I'm assuming they'll ask for more time to figure out what they're going to do with that 5th charge, as it's a way more serious one.
Yeah.
But he's also kind of already...
Remember, in Western countries, with regards to charges, they might ask, there's actually the possibility of a compilation of charges or an annexation of charges, but then again, this is a different jurisdiction we're talking about. It might not be compiled, might not be annexed. So we'll see.
Given us the game plan there. So I guess only time will tell how that pans out for him, but either way, we'll be covering it, as this is just a fascinating case of someone destroying their own life for some basic internet attention. So hey, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Bye! Thank you for watching, guys. Now, if you want me to check out other stories here on YouTube, please let me know in the comments. We upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard. Please like, share, subscribe, do the whole notification button thing to help me out with the algo. And don't forget to check out our Twitch channel where you can catch me do this live. Now, class dismissed.